Hey, welcome to Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network for Thursday, July 31st. And our streak of getting great guests continues. We got a big one today. This is actually a really cool guest. We have Mr. Corey Parson from... Now, Corey, well, first of all, welcome to Razzball Radio. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks a lot for having me, Nick. Looking forward to talking some fantasy football with you. It's that time.
Absolutely. And listen, man, Corey is a heavy in the industry. You want to follow him on Twitter at the Fantasy Exec, EXEC. You produce the RotoExperts Morning Show on SiriusXM. Man, you are like immersed in the knowledge on a daily basis.
Yeah, every morning get up, get out there. Myself, Scott Angle, Adam Ronis, along with Nano DeFino and Tony Sincata. We take you all morning long. Right now, we're getting ready for fantasy football. Still got fantasy baseball talk going on, and always, of course, the daily fantasy baseball game. So, listen, it's a full fantasy car wash. Everything you want for fantasy sports, you can get it right there. Roto Experts in the morning. Weekday mornings beginning at 6 a.m. Eastern time. It is good stuff.
And of course,
we make fun of Scott Angle, so that makes it even better.
You make fun of the king? Man.
Yeah, make fun of the king.
You got bigger stones than I do, my man. I wouldn't mess with Scott Angle. All right, so what we're going to do with Corey on, because Corey knows his stuff, we're going to go through the different positions, and actually Corey's also going to join us tomorrow, so we've got a full plate of Corey Parson, mashed parsnips. There you go. That's the new nickname. I don't think he's going to like that. But what we're going to do today, we're going to talk quarterbacks, and then we'll get into tight ends, but what we're going to focus on, Corey, is guys you like or don't like based on their expert consensus rankings, okay?
Yes.
So we're going to start with quarterbacks in this segment. Let's start off with Nick Foles, who right now, fantasypros.com, is the number 6 quarterback off the board. To me, that seems a little high. I'd love you to break that down for me.
Yeah, I really don't like Foles going 6 right now. I understand he came in there last year, did a phenomenal job cleaning up, I guess, the health concerns of Michael Vick. Came in there, was very efficient with the football, not throwing any interceptions. Threw a ton of touchdown passes, looked like a breakout fantasy quarterback from last season. I do like him going into this year. I'm a guy that waits on my quarterback. I just think he needs to be a little bit lower down the draft board right now. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles run the football just about as much as any team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Run game with Shady McCoy, not to mention you got Darren Sproles in the mix also. So I think the efficiency comes from the fact that he doesn't throw the football that much. They want to run the ball, so I think just I like Chip Kelly's system. I like Nick Foles in it as a fantasy quarterback, as a QB1. I just would push him down the board a little bit just because I think the system dictates to efficiency, not so much the heavy volume.
Wow, that's some good analysis. I love that. Okay, let's continue with quarterbacks. Next on the list is RG3. He's number 7 right now, fantasypros.com. Again, the expert consensus ranking. I actually took RG3 in a draft today. I'm in Ball Bloggers Expert Legend League with you. I'm actually picking behind you.
You sniped me on RG3 on that one. You sniped me on RG on that one.
So that's what I did at 2.10, so second last pick, and it's a quarterback flex league, so QBs are going to go a lot higher in this league. I like him better than 7 as well, potentially. What do you think he goes or should go?
I think he should go to the top 5 fantasy quarterback. I look at it right now, situation, Jay Gruden. Look what Jay Gruden did with Andy Dalton last year. Andy Dalton sucks. And Andy Dalton was finished at number 3. RG3 does not suck, not to mention the fact everything they did this offseason was putting weapons around RG. You got Deshaun Jackson on the outside, Pierre Thomas coming back from a season where he led the NFL in receptions. Not to mention you add Alfred Morris to the mix, and the young tight end Jordan Reed. All the weapons, the system is set up perfectly. RG3 is a guy that can finish top 3 fantasy quarterback this year. A healthy RG will get back to his 2012 form.
I hope so because, again, I got him in the expert league. Okay, next up, a guy that I think you and I are both not high on, but I'd like you to tell me why. Tom Brady, currently number 10.
Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Kimbrel Tompkins, Aaron Dobson got a screw in his foot. You going to tell me he's going to throw the football to Gronk? Yeah, right. He's not going to play 16 games. The weapons are not there. The name is great. Hall of Fame quarterback. Everything is so excellent about Tom Brady that we love. But for fantasy football purposes, drop him down the draft board. Doesn't have the weapons. That team's going to focus on running the football. Yes, they may win the Super Bowl, but you have a hard time. Well, I'm not saying a hard time, but it'd be a little bit more difficult for you to win your fantasy championship if Tom Brady's the guy at the top of your computer screen on Sunday mornings.
I like that. Okay, let's talk about Tony Romo. He's going 11 right now. I am on the record. I'm a big Tony Romo guy this year. I think he's very polarizing because he's a cowboy and he's in the spotlight a lot, made a lot of big mistakes in the spotlight. But that defense is going to be terrible. Obviously Des Bryant's coming into his prime. Terrence Williams, another year of experience. Jason Witten is a great pass catcher. You with me? Should Tony Romo be higher than 11?
Yeah, Tony Romo's going to be high. And like I said, they're going to be playing football from behind. The injuries coming in camp. The defense is just going to be terrible. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts. That's a team that's going to lose a lot of football games, 45-40. But what you can count on offense, once again, I always talk about the system. Scott Linehan, the system. They talk about they want to run the football. You're right. It's not going to happen. They're going to be in shootouts. Romo's going to get plenty of volume. As long as he can stay healthy, he's got the targets like Dez, young man, Mr. Terrence Williams, DeMarco Murray out the backfield. I look for a 5,000-yard passing season from Tony Romo with probably about 30, 35 touchdown passes.
You know what? That's exactly where I have him. He'll put up 15 interceptions, and he'll probably do one on Thanksgiving, and it'll be ugly when he does it. But with that said,
he'll blow leads in the fourth quarter. They'll be up, and Jason Garrett will abandon the run, and all of that's happened. I'm a Cowboy fan, so trust me. I've seen it time and time again. But you cannot bet against Tony Romo for your fantasy team. You want those shootouts.
All right, now I'm going to test your producer skills here because we've got about a minute left in this segment before we go to break. In this league, I took Colin Kaepernick again in the Legends League at 3.2. Again, it's QB flex. So now I got RG3 and Kaepernick. Just give me your overall take real quick, about 45 seconds here on Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick's situation is good. I like him and Michael Crabtree together a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're going to do some big things, especially if Harbaugh opens up the offense a little bit. But, that's one of the more run-heavy teams in the NFL. Kaepernick can get the job done with his legs also. I think he's excellent. Not a guy that I'm talking in this season, but like I said, I wait on my quarterback. If he happens to be the guy I take because I get caught in the back end of a run, Colin Kaepernick it is.
There you go. And look, you know what? You kept that pretty much the time. Good job. All right, he is Corey Parson, the morning show producer for RotoExperts on SiriusXM Fantasy. What are the channels?
Sirius 210, XM 87.
There you go.
It's natural. It comes right out.
That's why I knew I'd put you on the spot. All right, listen, we're going to come back. We're going to talk tight ends and their expert consensus rankings with Mr. Parson. We come back. This is Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on arrangementfinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on arrangementfinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join, so you've got nothing to lose. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back, Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. Joined right now by Corey Parson, the morning show producer for SiriusXM RotoExperts in the morning. We are talking tight ends and their expert consensus ranking. We're getting Corey's opinion because he's sitting in on all those conversations. You want to talk about absorbing knowledge. He's a lot of fun, too. Corey, let's go right to the top. Well, we'll skip Jimmy Graham because I think he's pretty much number one. But let's talk Rob Gronkowski. He currently is the number 2 tight end. I think you and I might box a little bit on this one because I actually think if he can be healthy and if he is back week 1, he's absolutely in the conversation for number 2. But I think you disagree with me.
Yeah, I understand what Gronk means to Tom Brady. I understand what he means to the New England Patriots offense. I don't understand why fantasy owners are so in love with Rob Gronkowski. I understand, you see him out in Vegas. Listen, the ACL, he can party and dance with the ACL, but he can't stay on the football field. This guy cannot stay on the football field. Yet a year after year, fantasy owners draft him in the second round. They get 6 or 7 games out of him. Don't get me wrong. Those 6 or 7 games are great games. The guy gets in the end zone. Him and Tom Brady have a magnificent chemistry. But I do not like to put these chronically injured players on my fantasy team. And Gronk's not. He would have to slip to the 5th or 6th round for me to grab him.
Wow.
So he won't be on my teams.
Okay, you're not going to get him in the expert league we were talking about earlier. He went in the second round, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So
in the slips, he still goes in the second round.
All right, good stuff. Next up, number 3 on the list is Julius Thomas. Interesting guy. Had pretty good yardage and catches last year, but had 12 touchdowns. I think the Denver offense is going to regress. There's a lot of mouths to feed there, but he's such a talented red zone presence. One of those former basketball players who's converted really well. Great pass catcher. Julius Thomas at number 3. Too high, too low?
I think that's too low. I like Julius Thomas over Gronk. I would dare say Julius Thomas finished the season as the top tight end in fantasy football.
Come on.
Listen, I know how much we all in love with Jimmy Graham and Breeze to Graham and the Graham Canyon and all that stuff. But Julius Thomas, freak of an athlete, plays in an excellent offense, Decker's not going to be there anymore. I don't know how much you trust in buying to the Emmanuel Sanders hype. I'm not really buying all the way in. Julius Thomas is the guy on that offense. Julius Thomas and Demarius Thomas also. Peyton Manning hooking up with those two. Only had about 65 catches last season.
I think so.
I see a 70 catch year, double-digit touchdowns. He plays 16 games. There's no reason why JT can't finish above Jimmy Graham.
Wow, that is a statement. You heard it here first. And you know what? I'm going to monitor that this year. I'm going to keep an eye on Julius Thomas because if you're right, Corey, I'll pump your tires on that. Okay, next tight end we're going to talk about, it's a guy I don't like, Vernon Davis. The reason I don't like him, he doesn't have the catches and yards you think he does based on reputation. Had 13 touchdowns last year, but the previous 2 years, I think he had 5 or 6 each year. So he's tied to those touchdowns. They've added Stevie Johnson in San Francisco this year. You tell me, is number 5 too high for Vernon?
Yeah, I'm not liking Vernon. I don't think I've ever owned Vernon Davis on the fantasy football team. Nice guy. I hate to say that, but the bottom line is this. Him and Kaepernick just don't have the chemistry that him and Alex Smith had. You got a player who, had some contract issues in the offseason, tends to stay nicked up. Well, not stay nicked up, but he has had health concerns in the past. I just don't like the chemistry. Like I said, it's a team that already runs the football a lot. Him going off the board where he's at, I think his tight end is a little bit further down the board that can do you better than Vernon Davis could. He's a name fantasy owners love also, but I just don't get it. He's always been a disappointment for my fantasy teams, and I won't touch him.
No, I'm with you on that. He's not going to be on any of my teams. A guy that might be on my teams if he's going as the 10th tight end off the board, Dennis Pitta in Baltimore. Interesting guy, very athletic, very talented. I'm not big on that offense, period. But tell me, Dennis Pitta at number 10, too high, too low?
No, he's too low. You need to move him up the board a little bit. Last season in the 4 games he played, he had 31 targets. If you prorate that over 16 fantasy weeks, that's 124. Second only to Jimmy Graham. This guy's going to get targeted by Joe Flacco, Gary Kubiak offense. They like to use the tight end. I'm not worried about Owen Daniels taking any of his reps because Owen Daniels sucks.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not going to stay on the field.
Tell me how you really feel, Mr. Parson.
Yes, you're going to get 2 or 3 reaches from Owen Daniels. Pitta's the guy in that offense, I think, with Smith, with both the Smiths, Torrey and Steve on the outside stretching it. You get him in the seam. So I like Dennis Pitta to finish, in the top 5 at tight end this year. Definitely in the PPR is going to rack up a ton of targets and receptions.
Okay, good argument. You just mentioned Steve Smith now with Baltimore. A lot of people are concerned that Carolina's offense is going to take a step back. I mean, he only had 700-ish yards and 7 or not even 4 touchdowns, I think, last year. But the guy who I think is going to be the main beneficiary there is going to be Greg Olsen. Right now, he's at number 7. Jay Wrong, fantasy editor, of course, at Razzball.com, has him all the way at number 2. Where do you fit on Greg Olsen?
No, I like Greg Olsen. And let me tell you something. You can put Greg Olsen down to play 16 games and catch 70 passes. He's excellent in the PPR, just like Pitta, who we spoke about earlier. Extremely durable. No problems there. He's really developed a good chemistry with Cam Newton. I don't want to – listen, I hate to do this to fantasy owners, but watch some of the news come out of training camp. Ed Dixon has been a pleasant surprise. Fantasy owners know what Ed Dixon is.
Right.
He has let us down year after year after year. Normally the first guy you cut after week 1 or week 2. But apparently he's flashing in camp, and they think he's going to have a nice role in that offense down in Carolina. Maybe even take some of those targets away from from Olsen. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm just throwing it out there for people. But Greg Olsen's the real deal. 16 games, 70 receptions for Olsen. You got to love that out your tight end position.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to throw one more gadget here. We've got about a minute left. Jordan Reed of the Washington National Football Leaguers. I'm split on this guy because of the injury history. Yeah, the upside's there. He's very talented, but I'm worried. Guys who have concussion histories always concern me. I can't draft Wes Welker. Wes Welker shows up every year, but you know what? With his concussion history, I can't have him on my team. What's your thoughts, real quick, on Jordan Reed?
You just said it. The talent is real. The talent is unbelievable. Probably one of the most talented tight ends outside of Jimmy Graham. But every time he gets hit, he gets up. He's laboring. And last year, when did he get that concussion? In the middle of the season?
Yep.
And they kept him out the rest of the season. That's too scary. Good talent, but injury concerns big time with Jordan Reed.
All right. He is Corey Parson, the morning show producer of RotoExperts in the Morning on SiriusXM Fantasy. We are going to come back. And, Corey, I want to thank you for joining us today. Corey's going to come back tomorrow. We're going to do some more of these breakdowns with him. But coming up next, we've got Jordan Churchill of the Music City Miracles, head writer over there. He's going to break down some of the stuff happening at Titans camp. This is Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. Be right back.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on ArrangementFinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on ArrangementFinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join, so you've got nothing to lose. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back to Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. Got a special guest today, Tennessee Titans expert. I think that's fair to say, Jordan Churchill from MusicCityMiracles.com, where he's the head writer. You can follow him at JLloydChurchill. Welcome to Razzball Radio. Thanks for joining us today, Jordan.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
So what we're going to do is we're going to try throughout the tour to get some local experts to give us some insight on the local teams. Jordan is not a fantasy expert, but he does know the Titans. Of course, he does cover them. So what we're looking for here, Jordan, is a little bit of dirt, some camp info. Let's start off the top with Justin Hunter. I'm on the record as loving Justin Hunter this year. He is an unbelievable leaper. I think he could give us kind of a 2010 Kenny Britt without the drama. What are your thoughts on Mr. Justin Hunter this season?
Well, the Titans are certainly hoping so. He's been impressing in camp. He's made some highlight reel catches already. But the Titans expect a lot out of him this year. I know that they sort of brought him along slowly last season, and they're really hoping that he can fill that X role for them. Something they've really lacked over the past 3 seasons, even with Britt in-house, who really wasn't the same after his injury. It took a lot of toll on being able to stretch defenses and so forth. So I think the Titans have high hopes for him. Coach Sean Jefferson's been really high on his potential, even comparing him to some of the greats in the game at the moment. But he has a real rare skill set. So the Titans are looking to take advantage of that this season and be a little more vertically oriented at the passing game.
I'm thinking 55 catches, 900 yards, and 8 to 10 touchdowns. Is that realistic?
Hey, I'd say the Titans will be thrilled with that if they can get that sort of production out of him. I mean, he was used sparingly last season. Like I said, they brought him along slowly. It's kind of tough for NFL rookie wide receivers, but as far as production goes, I think that would be ideal.
Okay, another guy in Titans camp that's getting a lot of love, of course, is Bishop Sankey out of the University of Washington. Looks primed to succeed. Maybe the most pro-ready running back coming into the league this year because of situation. Obviously, Titans made some line upgrades. What do you project Bishop Sankey might be able to accomplish this year in Tennessee?
Well, entering camp, he's sort of the third body behind Sean Green and Dexter McCluster. And through the first few days now, we've seen they've been working him in different situations. But, he's been impressive already. I think the Titans will really be looking to develop him into their 3-down back. He can do a little bit of everything, like you said. He's a blocker, he's a passer, pass catcher. But, yeah, he's been impressive already, and I assume that he'll slot into that all-around back role with the other guys kind of filling in as a specialty role, like I said, with McCluster taking more of the pass-catching options and Green taking the short yardage.
All right. Now, I got to ask you, obviously you're from the UK, or I should make assumptions. I'm guessing you're from the UK. How do you think an NFL team in London would do, just to get off the Titans for a second? I'm curious your take on that.
Well, I have talked about it a lot, as you might imagine, but I think one of the things that's really standing in their way would be the logistics of how to run the schedule with teams. Say you're looking at the West Coast of the United States, you're talking about a pretty hefty trip over to the UK for a game. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I think they've sold out their games over there very quickly. They have a good following over there. Hey, London's a great city. They love sports. And,
but would the fans watch and would the fans turn out? Aside from the logistics of it, would the fans come?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, they sold out Wembley, which is a 90,000 seat stadium, in fairly record time there for the past few years. So, and they haven't. I mean, if you talk to NFL guys who were over there for those games, they would tell you that there was no lack of support in the stands. Definitely.
All right, good stuff. So Jacksonville, get ready to move to London. All right, let's talk Kendall Wright. Obviously, in PPR formats, Wright is an absolute monster. This guy is fantastic. Does he take a step forward? Because now, he's established in the league. He's got a rapport with Jake Locker, who I think Locker's a little bit underrated. I'd like to obviously look. They almost got rid of him this year, but I'm maybe a little bit more optimistic about Locker. But if he's got to check down, Kendall Wright is the guy there. Does he take a step forward this year?
I would say he does, and the reason is I think he's one of the most underrated guys in this league. He caught 158 passes over the past 2 seasons. They're looking for him to sort of pick up the slack and play in that a little more vertical game with the Ken Winston-Hunt scheme. But for the most part, I would say him being sort of that safety net for Locker is ideal. They did have a good connection last season when Locker was healthy, and I do think that they continue that. And he really shone late in the season, but with CJ now gone, most people are really coming around to the idea that and realizing that, hey, Kendall Wright is the best player on this team on the offensive side of the ball. So let's get him involved and let's go ahead in that direction. But I think he impresses and opens some eyes this season, definitely.
All right. After the top 2 picks, Jimmy Graham and Rob Gronkowski, of course, assuming health, it gets kind of muddled at tight end. What's happening with Delaney Walker this year?
Well, I think he came in last year after being in a reserve role in San Francisco almost his entire career behind the likes of Vernon Davis. And, he set some lofty goals for himself. He didn't quite reach them. But he posted his best season as a pro in his first year in Tennessee. I think that was a really smart signing. They got him for a good deal. And he's clearly the number 1 at the moment. But for the most part, in Tennessee, there was a little disappointment with the tight ends behind him not really getting involved last season. I think with Cam Wisenhunt, sort of, he's a little more oriented from the tight end position in particular. I think getting him and getting some of the guys on the same page with Locker would help him out tremendously. But I expect Delaney Walker to be a big leader on this squad. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Is there anyone really underrated in Titans camp? Someone that the fantasy community hasn't heard of, and it's okay if there isn't. But is there anyone who could surprise us out of nowhere this year?
Well, I would think of a few names. I think Dexter McCluster is one of those people. Maybe not. I don't think he's going to be touching the ball 20 times a game or anything like that. But I do think he's going to post his best numbers as a pro. He's been sort of playing wide out running back combo out in Kansas City behind Jamal Charles, and he had some success there. Beyond that, I would say, again, a guy like Justin Hunter, who's sort of coming up, sort of expected to flourish in his second season. But I think the squad's mainly the same as far as the offensive skill positions. The wide receiver pecking order is practically the same. So I don't see any major surprises. But again, I point to someone like McCluster who could surprise and be used in multiple ways.
All right, he is Jordan Churchill of the Music City Miracles. We'll see him when we hit Nashville on August 28th, 7 p.m. at Losers Bar, but hey, they're winners, in Cool Spring. Jordan, we're looking forward to having you out. Jordan's going to come out with some of the other Music City Miracle guys. We're going to have a good time, draft with you. All the information, razzballtour.com. We'll be back tomorrow. More football stuff happening. Why not? It is draft season. Thanks for joining us, Razzball Radio, on the Fantasy Sports Network.